Afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the online renewal process, really looking at it from a member and from a leadership team perspective. This is a fairly new process in BNI Connect. It's the ability for members and leadership teams to go through the renewal process online as opposed to chasing pieces of paper. So the whole process happens through BNI Connect. It's actually a paperless process. From the time that a member decides that they're going to renew and they submit that application online, the approval process is also done online. So the membership committee can go in and they can review the application and review the members' statistics and their data. And then finally, the vice president or somebody else that might be authorized to do so can go in and approve that application and register the committee's decision. And then finally, the regional office handles it from there, as they always have, with reconciling the payment and really finalizing that whole renewal at that point. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at that today. We're not going to go into the admin portion of it too much, but we're just going to be talking about how this looks from a member perspective and from a region perspective. Now, before we get started, a couple of just housekeeping things for those of you that might be on BNI Connect's webinar for the first time. First of all, this is a live webinar, so that means if you have any questions whatsoever as we're going through this process, please do feel free to ask those questions. The best way to do that is by typing your question in to the questions panel. I'll see that pop up on the screen, and I'll be able to answer your questions as we're going through the material today. We're also recording this session, so if you would like to be able to share this with members of your team, members of your chapter, your director team, whatever it might be, you are welcome to that recording after the fact as well. We'll be posting it both on the support site. You'll see that at support.bniconnect.com. I'll show you how to access that a little bit later, but you can also get it on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. We're scheduled for about 30 minutes worth of content. It takes about 30 minutes to go through this process. That being said, if you do have questions, please feel free to ask about anything in BNI Connect that you'd like to. I'm happy to stay on this call until every single question has been answered. So let's jump in and take a look at this. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that this is an option in BNI Connect. Not all regions are using this yet. Some regions have been using it since day one. Some regions are jumped into it after a couple of months. Some are turning it on with the new leadership team changeover that's happening in October. Some are going to wait till next April. But the fact remains that if you are a member, if you're a leadership team person, if you're a director consultant, please check with your executive director first to see if they have enabled this process. I'm also going to be showing you all of the different options, although certain things are a choice by the region. For example, whether or not to allow pre-approvals or post-approvals. So let's take a look at this, though. So the first part of this process, really, let's take a look at this whole thing from a member perspective. So this is the overview that I've already gone over. The member completes an application. It's then reviewed and approved, and finally the regional office goes in and reconciles that. But let's look at this. How does this work for a member? Now, from a member perspective, there are a number of different ways that a member can start this renewal process. The first of which is they get a renewal reminder, usually 60 days before they are due for renewal. So if they're right around September 1st, not exactly on September 1st, but 60 days before, anybody that is due in November would have gotten that notification in September saying, hey, you're due for renewal in 60 days. Would you like to start that renewal process now? Within that renewal reminder is a link that they can click on in order to start that process. Now, the second way is that regional websites, everybody that has a regional website may put a link onto their regional website that brings them into this renewal process. One thing to keep in mind is that the renewal application is behind locked doors. So that means that members do absolutely have to log into BNI Connect first before they can go ahead and process that renewal. The third way is once they have logged into BNI Connect, they will see a Renew Now link right on the home screen. So I'll show you how that looks in just a second. And finally, if they go into their profile, there's a Renew Now button within their profile itself. Now, hopefully most people are familiar with what the renewal reminder email looks like, but this is a copy of it. This is something that I would receive saying, hey, thank you for participating. Would you like to start that renewal process now? And there's a link over here in the left-hand column, as well as a link down towards the bottom of this that allows me to start that online renewal process. The next part of this is that if you would like to, if you're an executive director, or if you're a regional webmaster or anything like that, you can put a Renew Now button on your website. And this is just a couple of copies, different examples of what people have done. We do have a default format if you'd like it, but you can design one to match your own region, and we can just give you the link for that. But let's actually jump in and see what does this look like from a member perspective. So let me open up a browser window here, and what I'd like to do is to just log in as a regular old member here. And I have a member in my test region in Antarctica. It is Ricky Martin. Yep, the famous Ricky Martin. He is part of our chapter up in Antarctica, in the Burr chapter in the Shiver region. And a couple of different ways that Ricky can start the process is, again, through that reminder email, or right here on the home screen, there is a Renew Now button. Of course, if I go in to update my profile as well, right here, there is a Renew button there as well. Now, no matter where I click on it, it's all going to take me to the same place. It is going to take me to the renewal application. So in Antarctica, and keep in mind that the applications are country specific. So it will have, here in the United States, it will have our membership fees. In Canada, it will have your membership fees. In the UK, it'll have their membership fees. In Antarctica, it is only $2.50 for a 1 year or $3 for a 2 year. So if you'd like to join one of our chapters up there, you are more than welcome to. The questions are also specific by country depending on what their legal requirements are, but they're generally start with all of these questions. They do have to answer the questions. Anything with a red asterisk next to it is a required question. Anything without a asterisk next to it is a optional question. All of the answers to those will be recorded in the electronic application, which they'll be able to review later. Now, a member can just continue. They can accept the terms and conditions. They can click on the terms and conditions. They do have to accept them before they're able to proceed to payment. This is a legally binding agreement. They can also, they have the opportunity here to check and update your member details. So if they do need to, if he needed to change his name from Richard Martin to Ricky Martin, or attempt to update his profession or specialty, this is their opportunity to do so, and it does allow them to make those changes. One thing to keep in mind is that the changes, that especially the profession and specialty, if they make changes to any of those fields, it throws up a big red flag to everybody involved in the process saying, hey, hold on a minute. Ricky Martin, he changed his category. You really want to pay attention to this one as opposed to rubber stamping it. So they will be notified that that process has happened. Once I've gone ahead and accepted all of this, I can proceed to payment. And here is where, if you have credit cards set up for your region, things like that, they would just immediately proceed to the payment. Now, here is where I would choose, whether it's an online credit card payment or an offline. You as a region can set that up to really accept whichever payments you feel are necessary. I'm going to go ahead and submit this payment by check. And again, this has my customized instructions up here in Antarctica. And I'm going to go ahead and submit. It now lets me know that I have applied, I've completed this application process, and we will be notified once they have made a decision. Now, really, that's it. From a member standpoint, that's as easy as it gets. Really, it's click on the Renew link, fill out the application, pay for it, and you're done. One thing to keep in mind is that if you have a member that is late, the lateness is determined by their due date. Let me sign out for a second here. And I have another famous musician in my chapter up there. His name is Marky Mark. And he also is a member of the chapter that's due for renewal. Now, Marky Mark was due on September 1st. So what's going to happen is when Marky Mark goes into renew here, you'll notice that the late fee is automatically included because he has passed his renewal date. That is not something that he's going to be able to remove off of here. It is automatically assessed and will be automatically collected when the renewal is processed. Okay, so let me sign out of this one now, and let's take a look at the next part of the process. So to review, the member completes the application, they choose the payment, and there are a number of emails that go out during that time as well. I have a whole spreadsheet of all the emails, so I'll go over that towards the end of the presentation today. So now let's look at this from a leadership team perspective. So keep in mind that these are different functions for different people. So from each individual bubble, it's actually a pretty straightforward, simple process. Members already done this. Now let's look at the leadership team. A couple of things to note about this is that all online renewals must be approved in BNI Connect or declined, but the processing must happen electronically. So if the application was electronic, the approval must be done electronically. The reverse of that is also true if you have some people in the chapter that are using paper renewals, the old-fashioned renewals, and some people that are using the online renewals. Only the online renewals will be available for online approval. The paper ones would go with the existing paper process. There's different levels of approval. They can be full, conditional. They can also be declined or denied. Regions, you have a choice. You can choose whether or not to allow pre-approvals or just post-approvals or an approval at any time during the process. And also from a regional standpoint, you cannot reconcile them until you have both a payment and an approval. So as I said, there's two different ways to do the approval. One is a pre-approval. So that means that before the member has submitted their application, the leadership team can go in and say, you know what, we like this person. We are going to pre-approve them even though they have not submitted an application yet. There's two different ways that a leadership team can do that. They will get a reminder link 90 days before a member is due. So the people that are due right now in December, those email reminders went out at the beginning of this month saying, all of these people due in December, would you like to pre-approve them? The benefit of pre-approving people is also that it is a prompt to get the member to do their renewal as well, because the member will be emailed saying, hey, your membership committee has just pre-approved your renewal. Would you like to go ahead and start that renewal process now? The second way is that in the membership dues report, there is a little icon, a link that brings them to the pre-approval screen as well. So those are the two ways that we can pre-approve somebody. So let's take a look at that real quick. So what I want to do is I want to log into BNI Connect as my vice president. Now my vice president up in the Burr chapter is Alfred E. Newman. So let's log in as Alf here. Now, the link in the renewal reminder, pretty straightforward, but if I forget that email, I deleted it by accident, it went into my spam folder, what have you, the other way that I can do that is by going to the membership dues report. So I can do that by going to Reports, Chapter. And the third report down is the membership dues report. And in the membership dues report, we will see all of our members here. And next to each member, there is a link for a pre-approval. And we can see that there's a link next to everybody except our buddy Ricky Martin here. Ricky Martin is already pending a renewal, so we can't pre-approve him any longer. Now, you'll also notice that we do have the opportunity to pre-approve anybody, which means that, you know, even the people that are due, the normal people that are due here, we have Thea, Bob, and Joe Slow here. They're all due within the normal time frame. I mean, we can, if we really wanted to, Rebecca Goodwin here, who's not due until 2042. She must have a lifetime membership. We could go in and click that link and pre-approve her, although it will give us a warning here saying, you know, Rebecca's outside of the normal time period. Are you really, really sure you want to go ahead and do this pre-approval? But let's go ahead and go back. And let's do, for example, a pre-approval on, I don't know, Thea here. Now we have some options when looking at the details. We can go ahead and look and see her performance. So this is the performance directly from the last 6 months' POMs. Now I know this chapter has a hard time submitting their POMs on a regular basis, so there's not a whole lot of data that's been accumulated here. But normally this would have, you know, the last 26 weeks or so worth of data. I can also click on the training details link here. It's going to open up a whole new tab and bring me to Thea's profile. And here I can review her training history. Now, Thea has not done much training. I can also take this opportunity to see, hey, has she even been using BNI Connect? I can check it out, see if she's filled out her profile yet, which it doesn't look like she has, or her bio. I can see if she's got any testimonials. Really, I can do a review of her membership. Now here I can choose, I can go back and I can choose what I want to do. I can say, first of all, whether or not we have gone through the process. So whoever's doing the pre-approval, which is usually the vice president, but they have to certify, I have done all the necessary performance reviews and we have had our discussions. Only after they click that will the button even become available for them to click. You can choose to do a conditional approval and or mark whether or not you've sent any control letters. Keep in mind that a conditional approval, it's a very loosely defined process. All that is really doing is marking the membership. It's adding a remark in their history saying it was a conditional approval. Now, what constitutes a conditional approval? That is completely and totally up to you. And it's up to you and the membership committee and your region to follow through with those conditions. This will just basically say we marked it as a conditional. Oh, Rachel says she lost sound. Do you guys need me to repeat that? So the gist was that the conditional approval is really, again, it's just marking the record as a conditional approval, and it is something that is enforced locally at the chapter level, not through BNI Connect. All right, if there's no conditions, or even if there are, you can go ahead and click pre-approve at that point. And Thea would get an email saying, congratulations, you've been pre-approved, and also that once she goes through her process, it would just complete at that point in time. If she does make changes to those special areas of the application, namely her name or her company name or her profession or industry or anything like that, the pre-approval goes away and we then have to go with the post-approval process. So let's take a look at the post-approval process. Now the post-approval, that means that That is done after the application has been submitted. And there's, once again, two ways that we can process that. The first way is that we can click on the renewal application received email. So the membership committee and the leadership team are going to get an email when somebody has submitted their application saying, hey, congratulations, a member from your chapter has just gone ahead and submitted their application. Would you like to go ahead and approve that at this time? And there's a link in the email. They can click on that, and that will bring them to the approval screen. If they have lost that email, they didn't get it, it went into spam, whatever the reason might be, they should be getting in the habit of checking the pending applications screen to see where these various renewals are in the life cycle. So the email, again, is a somewhat obvious one, but let's take a look at how do we look at the pending applications. So we do that. That's going to be under operations. So pending applications are going to be under operations. And if we go to manage memberships, there's an option here, view pending applications. And here we can see that we only have for this chapter one application in process, and that is Ricky Martin's application. I can see that is a renewal, and I can see that the status is submitted. So at this point, I can go and I can click the Approve button here. Again, I am still logged in as the Vice President, so I do have the options here. It is not a voting process. It is a registering of the decision, so only the Vice President, somebody from the leadership team, can register the decision, and only one person needs to do so. But we can see on the renewal approval that there's a couple of additional things here. We do have the ability to open up the PDF file, which is a copy of the application. This has all of the answers to their questions. So I can review that. I can click through and view their training details just like I could on the pre-approval. And if Ricky Martin, during the process, had made changes, there would also be a huge red indication here saying, please be sure to check these details. He made changes. So I can go ahead and approve this. And again, I can choose approval conditional or control letters. And I have the approve or decline option. Now, if a member is declined, you do not want to continue with that member. Pressing the decline button, all that does is it marks the person as declined and sends an email out to the leadership team, the director consultant, and the regional admin saying, by the way, this person was just declined. When that happens, it does not, I repeat, it does not notify the member. The process of notifying the member that they were declined must happen through the traditional, membership committee process. They should be issued the control letter, they should be told about it, and only after they're told about it, if they decide to leave the chapter at that point, then you would notify the office to drop them. It does not automatically drop them. They do still have the opportunity to finish out the rest of their membership at that point. But Ricky Martin here, even though he's only been to 4 meetings, I guess, according to the POMs, I'm going to go ahead and approve Mr. Martin. He has now been approved. I can go ahead and go back, and I can see that the renewal has now been marked as approved. So the final step of this process is whoever is doing the normal payments in the regional office, they would go and finish this up by reconciling this once they've confirmed that Ricky Martin's check did actually show up and clear at the regional office. All right, so back to the PowerPoint. Just a quick review of the process. The approval process, the membership committee reviews the application. They can review the member performance. Again, we're not registering votes in BNI Connect. One person, usually the vice president, although by default the president and secretary treasurer have the permission to back the vice president up if necessary. but somebody from the leadership team will go ahead and record that approval or the denial. And then finally, the regional office steps in and does their part of the process. Now, during this, as I said, there are a boatload of emails that go out, a whole bunch of them. So before the renewal, there's a 90 days, a 60 days. As part of that 60-day renewal reminder to the member, there is another link within that email. So one link says, would you like to renew now? There's another link that gives them the opportunity to say, I wish to opt out of renewing. I do not wish to renew at this time. That will mark it in their record. Again, it does not drop the member. It just sends an email notification to the regional office, the director, and the leadership team saying, hey, you know what, you might have a problem here. This member does not want to renew. So you might want to find out the reasons for that. There's also a pre-approval email that goes out to the member. Now, during the online process, so now that the process has started in one way or another, once it's been submitted, the member gets a copy of it. If they then proceed to the payment, an online payment, they will get an email confirming that online payment as well. If they decide to do an offline payment, then the office gets notified and the leadership team gets notified saying, hey, be on the lookout, an offline payment has been made. When a renewal is received, an email is sent out to the team as well. And again, if the member makes any details changes to their record, you will be notified of that as well. After the online renewal, there's a bunch of emails as well, the renewal approved. If the member had not yet paid, they would be reminded to pay at that time. And when it's approved, the team is also told about that. And if it's declined, the team is told about that as well. And just in case you're curious, this is all the same information, just in a different format. Who gets which emails as opposed to when they go out. All right, let's see. Laura has a quick question. She says, I mentioned that an email does not go if the member's renewal is declined. Is there an automatic notice sent if the member is approved for renewal? So if a member is declined, where is that one? So when a member is declined, down here at the bottom, the member is not notified of that decline. The regional office, the director, and the leadership team and membership committee, they are notified of the decline. Okay, so, and the same thing, if a member is approved, there's an announcement that goes out, and if they're approved, the member is notified as well. It's just in the case of a decline, we don't email the member at that case because that does have to happen via control letter. Does that make sense, Laura? Awesome. All right, and that, my friends, is the renewal process in BNI Connect. I'd love to open this up to any questions that you might have and be happy to answer those questions. By the way, here's a couple of resources for you if you need them. Support.bniconnect.com. You can also get there by clicking the question mark in the upper right-hand corner of BNI Connect. There's our YouTube channel. This video will be posted there for you to use. So you are welcome to view it there or embed it or share it, however you'd like to use that. I'd love it if you gave us a like on Facebook or if you want to follow us on Twitter, or you can always get us if you have questions, support@bniconnect.com. Kathy has a question. She says, can we please have access to this PowerPoint for reference? If you could do me a favor, shoot me an email, support@bniconnect.com, right there on the screen, support@bniconnect.com. I will be happy to send you a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. And that goes for anybody on the call or anybody that might be listening to this in the future. And the recorded session, you are welcome to send an email to support@bniconnect.com and just ask for the Renewal PowerPoint. If you are an executive director, I know we have a couple of executive directors on the call with us today. Thanks for being with us, Faye. You are, I have some other resources available as well. So some process documents and help documents that go a little bit more in depth that you're welcome to share. I'd be happy to get those to you as well. Just shoot me an email and request them. Laura says, I don't know what possessed my brother Alfred to move to Antarctica. Laura Newman, she's a regional admin down in the, are you in Florida or Maryland? I can't remember. I know you're with Faye, but. All right. Do we have any other questions, comments, or concerns? So Laura is in Florida. All right. Annie just says, great. And thank you. All right. So if that's it, looks like it was crystal clear. I look forward to helping you guys out with the process if you have any questions going forward. But hopefully it goes very smoothly for you, especially if you're just rolling this out for the first time. Have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful rest of the week, everyone, and happy connecting.